So we were going to break down manifesting. We're going to break down I am awareness, not even manifesting, breaking down I am awareness for dummies. Right? So it's a good day. It's a beautiful Friday, right? The squirrels or the birds are chirping. The SPs are twerking. That's what we like to see on a Friday. You know it's a good Friday when the birds are chirping and the SPs are twerking. One second. Let's get into it. All right. So now, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about something a little bit different. We're not going to try to make this a spiritual sounding discussion. We are going to stop pretending that everybody understands what we are talking about. Okay? And we are going to explain I am awareness as if we are explaining it to our grandmother, our coworker, or someone who has never read any kind of Neville Goddard, never heard of non-duality, and has absolutely no interest in becoming some kind of enlightened being. All right, so this is what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna really get into it today, but we are gonna make this practical. Make I am awareness practical. So how I want to start is this: understand that awareness is just awareness. Okay, awareness is just awareness. Right now, I want you to think of any experience that shows up in your life. Okay, that experience could be a feeling, a thought, a circumstance, right? There's something that is aware of this. So this is going to be the basic premise. Is I am awareness. What is it good for? What do we use it for? Why do you need it? Why do people always talk about it? So this is going to be a core foundational discussion. Once you understand this, now you can actually graduate into things like manifesting and identity and all those things. But this is the core truth that we're constantly returning to. We're going to talk about questions that we ask like, who are you being? Who are you being, right? It can sound like a very triggering question. We're going to talk about what it means when we say story. It's just a story. Right? What does that actually mean? So hopefully this gives you a little bit more clarity on these terms that we use. Right? Let's go into it. Think of I am awareness as the ultimate permission slip. What is a permission slip? All right, a permission slip, if you think about this in the logical world, right, in the third dimensional reality, you might have a permission slip that needs to be signed when you go to a field trip. Or you might have to have a permission slip to even go to the bathroom. What is this saying? This is saying that you are free to go from where you are to your destination. And can't nobody bother you on the path. It might look like they're walking up to tell you, hey, go back to class, but hey, look, bitch ass dude, I got the permission slip. Get out my face. I gotta go to the bathroom. All right? It doesn't matter. Okay, we had a test. We have a test tonight. That's cool, teacher. I got the permission slip. We got a football game tonight, so I have to travel early. Doesn't matter what you're saying to me. It doesn't matter what circumstance presents itself to me. The permission slip is a free pass from here to the place that I want to be. This is how we think of permission slips in the spiritual sense as well. Okay? So you can think of a permission slip as anything that allows you to get from one point to another. A lot of times we use these permission slips in terms of techniques, right? We will affirm or visualize or script or journal or do a sleep tape or whatever the case may be. All of those things are permission slips. It's saying, okay, I'm doing this to give myself permission to get to my destination. The destination is the embodiment or the choosing or the deciding or the affirming, whatever semantic you want to use. All right. So think of I am awareness as the ultimate permission slip. It gives you permission to stop adopting every thought, emotion, and circumstance as part of your identity. This is going to be an overview, and we're going to start breaking it down. Okay? So most people assume that because something appears in their experience, they're obligated to claim it as me. This is how most of us walk through life. A thought comes and we say, well, this thought feels heavy. An emotion comes and we say, this emotion feels heavy, this emotion feels true. What do I do if the situation feels heavy? What do I do if the old identity feels real? We think because it feels real, that must make it true. But what we're going to talk about is how I am awareness actually gives you a permission slip to say just because it feels a certain way does not make it true. All right? So most people assume that because something appears in their experience, they're obligated to claim it as me. Awareness reveals, I am awareness reveals, that has never been true. A thought saying I am not good enough can appear without becoming your identity. How? We'll get into that. Anxiety can appear without becoming who you are. How? How? We're going to get into that. A thought saying I'm not good enough can appear without becoming your identity, right? All of these things can appear without becoming your identity. I am awareness. It allows you to consciously choose what you identify with and leave the rest exactly where it is. Awareness allows you to consciously choose what you identify with and leave the rest exactly where it is. You don't have to fight. So the whole purpose of this, right, is if we're going to get very practical, the purpose of this is you don't have to fight unwanted thoughts. You don't have to fight unwanted thoughts. You don't have to suppress them. You don't have to make them disappear. You don't have to fight the unwanted emotions. You simply stop volunteering to become them. Let that phrase stick with you. You're gonna stop volunteering to become these things. My bad about the mic. We're gonna stop volunteering to become these things. Okay? Perfect. So your identity is not going to be determined by what appears within you. It is going to be determined by what you consciously decide to call I am. So basically, whatever you say that you are. Now, how do you decide? How do you make this distinction? Okay? So part one, what is awareness? Here's the core, right? We're going to talk about what is just awareness. So right now, I want to ask all of y'all a question. Let's make this a little bit interactive, right? Follow me. Play around with your boy for a little bit, all right? Now, right now, are you aware? Yes or no? It's Y for yes, N for no. Are you aware? Yes or no? Yes. Yep. Okay. Now, how do you know? How do you know that you're aware? How do you know that you're aware? How do you know, right? You have a reference point though, right? You have a reference point that allows you to be aware. You have a reference point, right? So you can be aware of the room. You can be aware of the words I'm speaking. You can be aware of a thought that you're thinking. You can be aware of your emotions. You can be aware of the body. You can be aware of whatever. You can just be aware that you are aware. But you are aware in reference to something, right? You are aware in reference of something. You know that you are aware because there's something that you are aware of, even if that something is I'm aware of self, or I'm aware of myself being aware. You only know that you're aware because there's something on the other side of awareness to reference. All right. Now we are going to split reality into two categories. Okay. It is what is being aware, and it is everything that we are being aware of, or it's everything that is being aware of. That is, is getting noticed. Like, okay, it's what is doing the noticing and what is getting noticed. All right. So now we can make a quick line in the sand, a quick delineation, and say, right now, the truth is that there is a part of me that is always just aware. And then there's everything else that I am aware of. This can be thoughts. I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm thinking this. I'm aware of a feeling. I feel like this. I'm aware of a sensation. This body part hurts, or whatever the case may be. I'm aware of a circumstance. This happened. Now we have different variations of thoughts. A thought could be a present moment. A thought could be, well, I feel like I'm stuck in this past loop. Right? You have all these different variations of thoughts, different variations of emotions. Right? Happy, sad, pain, physical emotions, physical sensation. right? So you have all of these different things that are going on, right? Isn't that beautiful? But you always have this deeper truth that is aware of these things. All right? So now, everything that you experience appears inside awareness. Thoughts appear, emotions appear, sensations appear, circumstances appear. Now, there is something that we categorize all these things into, right? All these things that show up within awareness, we call them the unholy trinity. The unholy trinity refers to three things. Number one, thoughts. Number two, emotions. Number three, circumstances. Okay? Unholy trinity, thoughts, emotions, circumstances. Now, are these things necessarily bad? No, nothing's necessarily bad. When do they become a problem? When you are using them to decide who you are. Just because I feel sad means I have to be sad. Just because I think a bad thought means I am a bad person. Just because the circumstance looks like this means I am like this. Now, we're going to get into the mechanics of that. That's just a high level. Let's go a little deeper. Okay? So now we have put ourselves into these two categories of reality. Number one, there is something within you that is aware. And number two, there's everything that is being noticed. There is a witness and a witnessed. Okay? In some places they call it they have awareness and forms within awareness. They have self and they call it form. Self and thought forms, the ground, right? There are other metaphors that say you are the sky and the thoughts, the emotions, circumstances are the clouds they pass by. There's all these different metaphors. But we're always pointing to these two categories. Number one, I am aware. And number two, circumstances, thoughts, emotions, everything that I am aware of. Witness, witnessed. Okay? Witness, witnessed. Perfect. Let's keep going further. Awareness is the part of you that knows that you're having an experience. Right now, you're aware of these words. Right? You're aware of these words. You're aware of the sounds around you. You're aware of the thoughts moving through your mind. You're aware of emotions, sensations, memories, desires. All of these things, you are aware of them, right? So there is awareness, and then there is the witnessed. There are things being noticed. I notice these feelings and these thoughts and these circumstances, but I am the one who notices them. Beautiful, right? So we're just trying to make the distinction, okay? Every single thing that you experience appears to you, which means there must be something present that is aware of it. Before we talk about manifestation or identity or God or spirituality, we have to start here. Because if you can observe something, then by definition, you are not that thing. So when we talk about, when it comes to I am awareness or reality creation 101, this is it. If you can observe it, if you can be aware of it, it's not the deeper truth about you. It's not the deepest truth about you. The moment that I notice I can be aware of it, it's not the deepest truth about me. Why? Because something deeper within me has to be aware of it. I trust that you're following me so far. Okay? So this is our rule within this space. This is the rule that we're going to abide by within this space. Okay? If you can observe something, if you can be aware of it, then by definition, you're not that thing. You are aware of thoughts, which means you're not thoughts. You are aware of emotions, which means you are not your emotions. You are aware of circumstances, which means your circumstances cannot be what? The deepest truth about who you are. So just by the simple statement, am I noticing it? Am I aware of it? Boom. That all of a sudden creates distinction. I know I've said space or separation. Just think of it as distinction. You don't have to imagine yourself sitting back and the thoughts and the emotions are in front of you. You can if you want, but simply just think of it as a distinction. There is a distinction between me being aware and this thought, this emotion, this circumstance. Now, you just being aware of it, will that make it hurt less? Does that make it feel less real? Maybe not. Maybe not. It's just creating the distinction. Don't get caught up in thinking just because I have this information, I should reach nirvana and enlightenment. And somebody should be delivering me my orange robe to sit on top of the mountaintop with the other bald head beautiful men up there. Right? You don't have to think like that. It's just making a distinction. It's just making a distinction. It allows you to operate from a different level. Instead of every single thing showing up and you saying, oh, because I'm sad, I am sad. Because this happens, I am that. Because this circumstance shows up. Because it feels like I'm in a loop, I am in a loop. Instead of going down that path, now we can simply sit back and say, I can make a distinction that because I am aware of this, it's not the deepest truth of my being. The deeper truth, there's already by law a deeper truth. If I'm aware of it, the deeper truth is that I am aware of it. I am the one who notices it. Let's go a little bit further. All right? Most people spend their entire lives completely identified with the content of experience. A thought says, I'm not good enough, and they become the thought. An emotion of anxiety arises, and they become the anxiety. A circumstance appears, and they become the circumstance. But awareness itself remains untouched by whatever passes through it. Just as a movie can show love, a movie can show tragedy, it can show comedy, it can show horror without actually impacting the screen it appears on, awareness remains present through every thought, emotion, and circumstance you will ever experience. Here we go. The entire journey of self-discovery begins when what? Okay, so think about this. We're making a transition into the journey of finding yourself, of stepping into your truth, of taking back authorship of your life. So here's an important first step. So now you understand the difference, okay? There's me, and then there's everything I'm experiencing. Before you knew this, what we were always asking. So now let's look at this diagram. Okay, cool. So right here, awareness is this screen. Okay, awareness is this screen. Now I want you to think about this practically. Think about this like in some kind of metaphysical sense. Let's just get practical, okay? Why, in this physical reality, why is this screen more real than the actual picture? Because you can't jump into the picture. Right? You can't jump into this picture. You can't be impacted by this picture. The picture could look scary, right? Whatever's showing up on the TV screen, it could look very, very scary. It could feel real, right? You can get a jump scare from a show, from a TikTok. You can get a jump scare. You can get a jump scare off of YouTube. You can be deeply moved to tears. But is that more real than the actual screen that's being projected on? No, it's absolutely not. So all this is saying is that while all these things that are appearing seem real, they feel real, they look real. Okay, it's a real experience. There is something that is more true. There's a deeper truth about you, which is that you are just awareness. You are this screen that they're projected on. Right? So most people, we go through our whole life thinking that we are the actual movie when we are this actual screen. All right, let's go a little bit further. So part 2, why most people suffer. Why do most people suffer? So much man. Oh, wait. All right, why do most people suffer? So let's give a damn. Was he clicking in the first one too? Was he clicking in the first recording? If so, nah, it's just this one. Put the hater blockers on. All right, that's cool. Well, if it drops on YouTube, somebody just tell me. We just gonna write it out. I'm gonna download the videos. I'll just put it together at the end. I'll put it together. I'll download them and just stitch them together, so it'll be fine either way. All right, part 2. Why most people suffer. Okay, why most people suffer. So this is a simple example of why most people suffer. Number 1, a thought shows up. Okay? This thought can simply say, I am a failure. Now, what do most people do? The thought appears and they immediately become the thought. So instead of them realizing that because I can think this, because I can be aware of this, there must be a deeper truth, they just take everything as at face value. Oh, I'm thinking that, it must be true. I feel this, it must be true. I see this, it must be true. Huh. Okay? So now they immediately become the thought. Right? So now they aren't aware of failure. They aren't aware of the thoughts of, failure appeared in my awareness. They are the failure. There is a huge difference in this. There's a huge difference in the actual identification, all right? So awareness says what? Guy, from the I am awareness perspective, what are we saying? We are saying a thought saying I'm a failure just appeared. That's it. That's all it's saying. I want you to notice how much lighter that feels. What is the difference in I am a failure? Damn, I must be a failure. Versus I am a failure. Oh, a thought of failure just appeared. 2 completely different worlds, right? This is the path that I am awareness. This is the path that I am awareness is offering you. All right? Now, the thought can exist without becoming your identity. Most people, most of us, we do not suffer because of our thoughts. We don't suffer because of our thoughts. We suffer because we turn our thoughts into an identity. A thought appears. That thought can simply be, I'm a failure. Instead of recognizing it as a passing mental event. That's all it is, a passing mental event. They immediately claim ownership of it. The thought becomes a label. Then the label becomes an identity, right? Oh, I'm a thought. Instead of you just being aware as I was just a thought, that thought becomes a label of me. I take ownership of it. I had the thought, it must mean it's true. Now I wear it like a crown. Now it becomes an identity. And now it becomes the lens through which I see life. All right? Soon every mistake becomes proof. Every setback becomes confirmation, and even every single challenge, right? It becomes evidence that the thought was true all along. So it started as a simple thought and it evolved, it morphed into a prison. This is the power of your identity. This is the power that you have as awareness. Let's go a little bit further. Awareness, I am awareness, offers a completely different relationship with experience. What is experience? A thought, an emotion, a circumstance. Instead of saying I am a failure, awareness simply allows you to notice there's a deeper truth. If I see a thought, if a thought says I am aware or I'm a failure, there must be a deeper truth. There's something that is aware of that, right? Awareness notices a thought saying I'm a failure just appeared. Okay? This simple change, this simple noticing, it changes everything. In the first statement of I am a failure, now you become the thoughts. In the second, you remain the observer of the thought. The thought's allowed to exist, but it does not have to define who you are. Okay? So this is why when you truly understand just the concept of awareness, everything becomes lighter naturally, because it creates this distinction, this beautiful distinction between the truth of who you are and what you are experiencing, what you are thinking, and what you are feeling. That's the thing, that space or that distinction from what you are, the truth of what you are versus what you are actually experiencing, right? So now you can witness these things without being controlled by them. So a little bit further, right? So here's an exercise for you. Here's an exercise for you, okay? Cool. So now I want you to think, I am beautiful. Think that about yourself. I am beautiful. Yes, you are. You are beautiful, right? Now think, I am successful. Okay, now think, I am successful. Now I want you to think, I am a giraffe. Or whatever animal you want. You want to be roaches. I am a roach. I am a giraffe. I'm a caterpillar. Whatever the case may be, right? Cool. Now I want you to ask yourself, what noticed all three of these thoughts? What noticed all three of these thoughts? Well, the answer is your awareness, right? So the thoughts change, the awareness remains. I want you to, let's think about this, okay? So I gave you three different things. First I gave you you're beautiful. Okay, that thought showed up. There was something that was aware of it. Then maybe your mind wandered and you went to, I wonder what's next. Or you were like, damn, this is stupid. Or man, maybe I should scroll. And then I said, okay, well, you're successful. Okay, that's successful. Another thought showed up. So just in that little time span, all these different forms showed up within awareness. They showed up, they left. They showed up, they left. Then I said, you're a giraffe, you're a roach. Then those thoughts showed up and they left. But this whole time, you were just the one sitting here in this moment being aware. So it was you that was unchanging. It was you that was sitting here as everything unchanged. And it was different things that were simply showing up in the moment to you. But you were the one that was constant. The awareness, just being aware in general, was constant. The thoughts, they just came and left, right? Successful, beautiful, roach. 3 different moments, 3 different thoughts, same awareness, just sitting here present of all those things. So the thoughts change, the forms change, but the awareness remained. Okay, the awareness remained. Now, part 3, what Neville was actually talking about. Okay, now, when we talk about a lot of the teachings of Neville Goddard, I want you to hear me out. Neville was not telling you to lie to yourself until reality changes. He wasn't saying lie to yourself until reality changes. What was he saying? Stop identifying with states you don't want, because you're already what you desire to be. And we'll get into that a little bit further, but you're already it, okay? You just need to stop identifying with the things that you don't want. Do you see why? Okay, just by me saying that, are you following me? Do you see how powerful that is without even me going further? So what we've talked about so far is that how you have these different experiences in your life. You have the experience of thoughts, emotions, circumstances. But because you're experiencing them and you are aware of those things, now all of a sudden what that means is there is a deeper truth about you. Okay, so there's something deeper within you because you are aware of those things. So if there's a deeper truth about me that is already everything, because awareness is everything, source is everything, God is everything, right? So there is this deeper truth about you that is already everything. Okay? So now if it was already everything, you don't have to try to become anything new. You simply need to stop identifying with the things that you don't want. Meaning, this is why awareness becomes so powerful. Because now, when I stop saying that just because I think this way, it means I am that. Just because I think a negative thought means I'm negative. Just because I feel this way, it means that I am unworthy. Just because I see this means hold up, there's a liberation to that. Because now my goal is not to try to force myself to become anything. I'm simply doing what? I'm not identifying with anything I do not want to be. Because just my natural state is already perfect. Don't worry, we're going to get into that. All right. So now, what the core principle of this is stop identifying with states you don't want. So let's think of a state right now. A state could be, I'm always broke. Just always broke, man. I don't know why shit's not working out. I just always broke, right? Most people, what happens? They're born and parents might be broke. Okay. So they grow up and now they're still feeling pretty damn broke. And so they repeat this for years. I am broke, right? They repeat this for years. Not because it's reality, right? But they just repeat it for years. It's passed down to them from their parents. Now, eventually, if you repeat something long enough, it feels true. How many of you will say this? You'll be like, what if the old identity just feels true? It just feels real. Does the old identity fight back? Does it fight back? Sometimes I pick a new identity and the old identity, it fights back. Okay. Hear this, right? So now, if you repeat something for so long until it feels true, just because it feels true doesn't make it reality. It's just because you've moved into the state. You're just in a state. It's not reality. It's a state. It's a role. It's a story. Okay? So a state is simply a role. Now, let's get a little bit further. All right? Neville's teaching becomes incredibly liberating once you understand that he wasn't asking you to deny your experience. Boom. It's not saying deny what you're going through, what you're feeling, or deny what you're seeing, or deny what you're thinking. He's simply asking you, stop confusing your experience with your identity, right? So now, because we understand this I am awareness a little bit more, we see that the thoughts, emotions, circumstances can show up, but there is a deeper part of me. There's a deeper truth. So these things don't have to determine who I am. I can simply see them as they are. They're experiences. Okay? So most people assume that if something feels true, it must be true. If they feel unworthy, they include they are unworthy. If they feel broke, they conclude they are broke. If they feel rejected, they conclude they are unwanted. But I am awareness reveals you can be aware of something feeling true without accepting it as who you are. The feeling may be real. The experience may be present, but neither one has the authority to define you unless you give it that authority with your what? How do you give it that authority? With your choice. With your choice. So this is the next step. So now I'm sitting back, because keep in mind, I said everything is a story. Everything is a form within awareness, right? Everything. Every thought, every emotion, every circumstance is an experience within awareness. What makes one more true than the other then? Your choice. Your choice. Okay? So this is what Neville meant by a state. A state is simply a role that you are occupying. Just like an actor. Here we go. An actor can play a villain, a hero, a king, a beggar without becoming any of those things. You can occupy the states of what? Fear, confidence, lack, abundance, loneliness, or even love without them being the truth of who you are. The problem is that most people stay in a state so long that it starts to feel natural. Then they mistake familiarity for truth. But something feeling familiar does not make it truth. It only means you've been identifying with it for a long time. That's it. Cool. So the beautiful part is that I am awareness gives you the ability to choose. You can notice a state. You can notice that a state, it feels convincing without surrendering your identity to it. It just feels like I'm not doing this right. It just feels like, okay, you can notice that it feels like that without making it the truth, without accepting that as the truth. Do you see how liberating this is? This is a big question that's asked. Well, it feels true. It doesn't feel like I'm accepting it. You can be aware that it does not feel like you've accepted it. However, that's just a story. You could also tell a story of, I have accepted that everything works out for me no matter how I feel about it. They're both stories. Which one is more true? Whichever one you accept is true. Beautiful. So you can notice that a state feels convincing without surrendering your identity to it. You can observe thoughts of lack while choosing abundance. You can observe feelings of rejection while choosing to identify as what? Loved. You can observe anxiety while choosing to identify as secure. So Neville's work is not about forcing yourself to believe something that isn't true. Think about this. Think about what I just said. It was a very profound statement. It's not about trying to convince yourself to believe something that is not true. Hold up. Does that make you confused? This work it's not about trying to force yourself to believe something that is not true. It is about recognizing that you are the one who gets to decide what is true about you. That's it. You get to decide what's true about you. Awareness allows you to witness every state that passes through your experience, and then what? Consciously select the one you wish to call I am. So this is liberating. That's all I am awareness is. You're just aware. You are the one aware, and you are the one who is deciding what is true or not in every moment. That's it. That's it. There is nothing true until you say it's true. That's it. That's literally it. Let's go a little bit further. So now, why is this important? I want you to think about one of the questions that is constantly asked in this space. The question is, who are you being? Who are you being? What does that actually mean? Who are you being? What do you mean? I'm Alex. Right? So one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is, who am I being right now? Now, being, who am I being? Who are you choosing to be? Not what you're thinking. Not what you're feeling. Not what is happening. Who are you being? Because the answer reveals what you're currently identifying with. In any moment, you can be aware of fear without being fearful. You can be aware of doubt without being doubtful. Do you hear that? I can feel doubt and still accept that everything that I desire is already true about me right now. I can observe that. I can be aware of doubt. Because remember, doubt is an experience. It's a feeling. So if I'm aware that I feel doubt, there's a deeper part of me that is experiencing, that's aware of that. And from that deeper part, I can simply choose who I am. Do you hear this? This is free. I can be aware of doubt, right? Without being doubtful. I can be aware of fear without being fearful. Do you hear this? A thought can show up, an emotion can show up, fear. I feel fear. I'm not fearful though, I just feel fear. I'm aware of fear, but I'm still certain that everything is going to work out. I feel doubt. I'm aware of doubt. I'm still certain everything is going to work out. It's my truth. I've accepted it. Beautiful. The experience may be present, but your identity is still yours to choose. It might feel heavy, but your identity does not simply go somewhere because it feels heavy. It feeling real is just another story. It's just another story. Okay? Everything is a story. So awareness gives you the ability to separate what is appearing from what you decide to call I am. I'm gonna need somebody on YouTube to like type every like couple minutes or something to let me know it's still streaming over there. Help your brother out. Help your good brother out. Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right. So now, most people live as if identity is something that happens to them. Awareness, or I am awareness, reveals the identity. Identity is what? It's something you participate in. So now, from this point forward, now that you know this, now that we've made this separation, there is something that is aware, okay? And then there is everything that is being noticed, okay? So now that there is a distinction, okay? There is a distinction, guess what? Your identity is never happening to you. You know how they say life is not happening to you? Your identity is not happening to you. Guess what? Your identity is something that you are actively participating in. Because what happens? The doubt shows up. You're aware of the doubt. But now you get to make the choice. Just because I feel doubt, does that mean things won't happen? Just because I feel like money is not coming, does that mean that money ain't showing up? No, of course not. Of course not. I still get the final say so. I still get the final say so. It's beautiful. So the thought, the emotion, the circumstance appears, and then comes the most important moment. Your decision. Will you claim it? Whatever that story is, whatever that circumstance or thought or emotion is, happiness, sadness, whatever the case may be, it shows up and you get to make an important decision. Will you claim it? Will you make it part of your story? Will you turn it into who I am? Or will you simply witness it and let it pass? This is where your power lives. So I am awareness is pointing you back to your power. You have power in realizing that you are simply being aware of all these things. Does that mean that they won't feel heavy? No. You're not down here to be a robot. This is why it can be confusing when people will be like, oh, I know it feels like the thought or it feels heavy. I know, but who is the one feeling it or who is the one saying that? I know that when you don't understand this, that can seem like a, what do you mean? I feel like shit. What do you mean who's the one who is aware? I feel like shit. But when you understand that it's simply trying to make a distinction, it's simply saying that, okay, cool. Right now, there is you as awareness. And there are experiences happening within awareness, an experience of sadness, of happiness, of joy, of frustration, of anxiety, of all these things. They show up. But you don't have to go down to those. So, all right, let me slow down because I want to make this point very, very clear. We'll often talk about the concept of a character, right? We'll be like, oh, that's just the character. That's the separate self. That's the ego. What does that actually mean? Think about what we've talked about. And let's walk through this together, okay? So if all of these things show up within you, okay, let's think of, for practical reasons, let's think of awareness as a circle right now, okay? Let's just think of it as a circle. It's everything, it's infinity, but for practical reasons, to satisfy the logical mind, let's think of it as a circle. So it's a circle. Now, let's think of every single thought, an emotion and circumstance as a dot within this circle. So the circle could be pretty large, and then within that circle you have a dot of doubt. One moment you have doubt right here, it's just a dot. Now it just gets erased. Then the next moment you have a thought of, I feel at peace. But you hold on to that thought, so that peace just keeps on lasting, right? Then you feel frustrated, so you have another dot of frustration. So your awareness is this broad circle, and then everything that you experience, circumstances, thoughts, emotions, they're just dots, they're points. They show up within this, all right? Now, what typically happens is, let's say that you have a thought of doubt. When you have this thought of doubt, what most people do when they don't understand that their awareness, what they'll do is just because they have the thought, they identify with it. They take hold of it. They take it personal. They take ownership of it. Okay, because I have this thought of doubt, that must mean that it's not working out and I'm a doubtful person. So now they hold on to that. And what do? They say, you know what? See, so think about it. It's this big circle of awareness. All things are within it. All right? Doubt, clarity, truth, trust, everything is within it. But this one dot of doubt shows up and you grab it. And you forget that you're the entire circle and you think you're this one point, this one speck within the circle. And so now when you think that you are that one speck, I want you to think of this, right? So now if you had a bird's eye view, you could see the circle. You could see that, oh, I can pick all of these things within the circle. But when you get emotionally invested and you get involved, it can be difficult to see the full picture. So you get sucked in. So, okay, I'm doubtful, so I must be a doubtful person. You get sucked in. And now what do? We say, okay, I am doubtful. And if I think that I am just doubtful and not the full circle, I have to work my way out of doubt. Are you following me? So what does this look like? This goes back to what we were just talking about with Neville. Now you try to affirm your way out of it. Change your state out of it. Embody something different out of it. Well, if I doubt, I have to force myself to believe. The whole time, you're not believing that this is actually true about you. You think if you force yourself to believe it, then it will become true. But belief is a spectrum, isn't it? Belief and doubt, they sway like a pendulum. If you feel good today, it's a little easier to believe. If you wake up and all of a sudden the market does something, all of a sudden a tweet drives the market down, right? All of a sudden your mom tells you some shit, your girl tells you some shit. Now all of a sudden belief swings to doubt. Then you feel a little bit better. You get a little optimistic. Belief or doubt swings back to belief. So it's this pendulum. It's an emotion. Doubt and belief are highly tied to emotional states. But if you could just take a step back and realize, okay, let me think about this. If I'm able to be aware of doubt, if I feel doubt, that means something must be feeling it. That must mean something is aware of it. Oh, okay. Let me jog my memory. That means that I am the awareness behind it, which means I get to choose. And if I'm the awareness behind it, that means I'm everything. I'm not just the doubt, I'm everything. So I get to actually choose what is true about this situation. I don't have to be the quote unquote character, which is just another word for somebody who identifies with one experience within all that they are. When you're heavily identified with one experience, we call that the character, or we say that you are telling a story or a label, right? One label, one story, one experience, a character just means I'm taking one thing out of infinity and I'm saying this is me. And now I have to work my way out of it instead of simply saying, even though I feel like this doubt is real and it feels heavy and I feel like I've been doubting for a long time, this is not the truth about me. I am everything. It's true. It's true that everything will work out no matter if I doubt. Do you feel me? Do you feel me? Right? So now all of a sudden, we're coming at this from two different perspectives. One perspective is a circumstance or an experience shows up within awareness. I attach to it. I think I have to work out of it. The second perspective is instead of me identifying with it and going down to the quote unquote character and trying to work out of that small perspective, I take a step back and I say, hold up. I notice this, which means there's something about me noticing it. RD on the voice chat today said something very profound. She was like, I don't mind being triggered. I like being triggered because now I can just make another choice. What do I want to experience moving forward? So now we have these things. We have these experiences showing up, these feelings showing up, these thoughts showing up. And boom, all of a sudden I notice them. Now I can make another decision. I can simply choose, what do I want this to mean? Do I want the doubt to mean that I'm trapped? Or do I want the doubt to mean nothing? You get to choose. It's very, very beautiful. Right? So now, this is why this question is so powerful. Who are you being? right? In any moment, you can be aware of fear without being fearful. You can be aware of doubt without being doubtful. You can be aware of scarcity and lack without being a scarce person. I feel lack. I'm aware of it. I told a story of it, but it's just a story. But I can actually choose what it means. I can choose to be a prisoner to that thought, or I can choose to simply be above it. And you're always above it, right? So now, the experience may be present, but your identity is still yours to choose. Awareness gives you the ability to separate what is appearing from what you decide to call I am. Most people live as if identity is something that happens to them. But awareness, I am awareness, what are we saying? Identity is something you participate in. You're always making a choice. You're making a choice to either identify with that thing or take a step back and say, you know what? It's something that's within awareness, but there's a deeper truth about me, and I get to choose what this actually means. Very empowering. Okay? Very, very empowering. Let's go to the next part. So I want you to imagine an actor right now. Imagine an actor. So now today, this actor could be Batman. Tomorrow, this actor could be the Joker. The next day, this actor could be Superman. Different characters, all these different characters, all these different roles. But it's still the same actor, all these different states, but it's still the same awareness. We could do Wonder Woman too. We could do Wonder Woman, right? All these different characters, same awareness. You are the actor and not the role. You hear me? You are the actor and not the role. You are the actor, not the role. You get to you can change your roles willy-nilly at any moment. At any moment. You get to be the actor that says, I feel doubt, but guess what? My truth is here anyway. And guess what? That is true because you are the actor and you are the one who has final say so. You're only limited by your creativity in your storytelling. Okay, let me say that again. I don't think that went by. That ain't go by heavy enough. You are only limited by the creativity of your storytelling. That's it. Your only limitation is your ability to tell a beautiful story about yourself. All right, so now part 4, why circumstances feel so powerful. Practical example here. So you send a text message. Hey, Alex, it's summertime. The birds are chirping. The SPs are twerking, but I want to twerk for you. You're my SP. Okay. No text back. Okay. No message back. Now I want you to think about what happens with this, right? You don't get a text back. Now watch what happens. All right? All of a sudden, you start to form different stories. The only reality here is that there was no text back. That's the only thing that's true. But now the mind says, oh, they didn't text me back. It must mean that oh my gosh, they're doing all those nasty things to me, to somebody else. Oh my gosh, they're betraying me. Oh, I'm just not worthy. So now the mind all of a sudden does what? It starts to create all of these stories. You eventually get to the point of they hate me, right? Now you have an emotion to match it, anxiety. And now you have an entire identity built off of this called I'm unwanted. I want you to think about this. The moment came and went. Let me give you a different example. You say, hey, Alex, I just want some chocolate and you're on my mind. And I say, LOL. That's it. I just say LOL, right? So now that's not the response that you wanted. So now all of a sudden you're like, damn, he didn't care. I'm not good enough. I'm not God enough. Am I doing this wrong? I'm unwanted. See, now all of a sudden you've made these 3 letters, pixels on a screen, highly personal. It's become personal to you. You have made this, what the message has come and it is gone. It has arrived and has left. It's not even here anymore. It was one moment in time, 3 letters on a phone screen. But now all of a sudden, the story starts becoming about me. What are they doing? They must be with somebody else. And that transforms to me. Now I take it personal. I'm not doing enough. I'm not embodying enough. I'm not God enough. I'm not worthy. Now one text message turns into my identity. And now I put on that identity, and that becomes the lens through which I look at the world. So now the next time I interact with them, I already have the I'm unworthy glasses on, right? I already have the I'm unworthy identity on. So now I'm looking at life just hoping that you prove it to me. That goes back to what we were talking about before. The goal is not to force yourself to believe something that you don't think is true. It's to accept your truth. And stop choosing stories that go against your truth. The truth is you are chosen. That's it. You're not trying to make yourself believe that you're chosen. The truth is you are chosen. Okay? You feel what I'm saying? You're accepting truth. So now, the only reality here was that one text wasn't answered. That's it. Right? The suffering comes from your interpretation. A lot of you, your interpretation, causes suffering. Causes suffering. I want you to think about this because it's an important thing. Now, here's an important thing that we're going to talk about. Why do we constantly say story? Is it because Alexander's just so mean? Because he's a meanie? Is it because we're telling you to shut up and suppress it? Why are we saying story? How come in the Discord? How come when y'all come on here? How come in the coaching sessions I'll call out, hey, this is a story? What does that actually mean? What does story mean? Kate, get your ass back over here and listen to this. All right? When we use the word story, all right, we are not saying that feelings or thoughts are wrong. Okay? Story does not mean that feelings or thoughts are wrong. It doesn't mean that they are irrational. And it does not mean that they need to be suppressed. Right? We are simply creating a distinction or a little bit of space between what happened and the meaning you've assigned to what happened. So when we're calling out story, what are we saying? There was a text that you didn't get. That's all that happened. Everything after that is a story. So story is pattern interruption. We're interrupting the pattern. We're saying, hey, whoa. You might actually just be creating a narrative about yourself that isn't true. The only thing that really happened here was that they didn't text you back. The only thing that really happened is you got a bill in the mail. But now you've spiraled to I'm unworthy, money never shows up, and I'm always behind. If it ain't one thing, it's another, and I just can't win for losing. You have made this one bill your entire identity. Or you've made it a statement on your identity. You've made this text message a statement of your identity, right? So, we are simply creating a little bit of space between what happened and the meaning you've assigned to what happened. A story is just an interpretation. That's what we're saying. A story is just an interpretation. It is the what? It is the narrative layer the mind places on top of raw experience. A thought is a raw experience. An emotion, sadness, frustration, doubt, fear, it's a raw experience. The circumstance, it's a raw experience. Right? Yeah, it's be coming over to fix your cabinet. Raw experience. Huh? Me walking outside getting cut off in traffic. Raw experience. Raw experience. It means absolutely nothing. The event may be real. The event is real. The emotion is real. The sensation your body may be feeling is real. But the conclusion that you've drawn about what it means is still a story. You hear what I'm saying? The conclusion you draw about any circumstance is still a story. Guess what? Guess what? What isn't a story? Enlighten me. What isn't a story? Guys, think about this. What is not a story? Right? You won't get the text. or the bill shows up, or your mom says something, or your SP says something, or the doctor says something. You only have X amount of time to live. This is information in the moment. The only thing that you're ever looking at is information in the moment. That's it. Everything after that information in the moment is simply your interpretation, which is a story. It's a story. Okay? So now, the conclusion you've drawn about what it means is still a story. Calling it a story is simply pattern interruption. It helps you recognize, this is all when I'm saying story. It's helping you recognize you might have unconsciously simply moved from this happened to this means something about who I am. That's it. The goal is not to argue with the story. The goal is simply to see that a story is being told. And once I see a story is being told, what happens? Let's talk about it. So why is this powerful? To recognize, oh, I'm just telling a story. Oh, it's just a story. Why is it powerful? Because stories require an author. You can't write a story without an author. My gods, my goddesses. You need an author. Okay, is YouTube still working? Somebody give me a 1 or something. Somebody put a 1 in the chat every 5 minutes or something. YouTube still working? Right? So a story requires an author. The only reason a story exists is because someone is telling it. Okay, I know it sounds simple, but that was actually very, very profound. It was extremely profound. The only reason a story exists is because somebody is telling it. That's it. That's the only reason. Somebody is telling it. All right? So now, the moment that you become aware that you are telling a story of lack or rejection or failure or unworthiness, you step back into authorship. I appreciate you, MC. Thank you. You remember, you're not merely the character inside the story. You're also the one holding the pen. Okay, cool. So what are we talking about? Remember earlier we were talking about the circle of awareness, which is God, which is everything, which is you. And sometimes you have these stories that show up doubt or frustration or fear or happiness or a circumstance of them cheating or them walking away or whatever the case may be. These things show up. And you get so consumed with the doubt that you start saying, oh, I feel doubt, so now I become a doubtful person. And now I have to fight out of the doubt. What do we call that? We call that the character, right? Right? We call that being the character. This is a recognition that you're not just the character, you are the author as well. Okay? You're both. You're everything. Right? So now, you're not just the character trapped inside the story. Yes, you're experiencing it. Why is it important to say that you're not just the character? Why is it also important to say, remember how we say you're not the character? Why I want to say that you are still the character and the author now is because I don't want to invalidate your feelings. I don't want you to make you think. I don't want to make you think that because something feels heavy, it ain't important. I don't want to invalidate that shit. You for sure are the character, but you're also you're all of it. You just don't have to be trapped as that. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to be trapped by that feeling. Okay? This is the power, right? Of course, you can feel the feelings and something can feel real and it can feel true. And sometimes I've been guilty of being like, you're not even the character though. Well, I don't want to say that in this sense because I was really thinking about this while I was creating this. Well, I don't want to say it in this because I don't want you to feel like, I don't want you to have your experience invalidated. Just because something feels real does not mean it's not a real experience. Just because something feels real doesn't mean it's true. Let me put it like that. Just because it feels real does not mean that it is true. But it is a real experience to you. Okay? And so the confusion can come when somebody's like, bro, you're not even the character. And all of a sudden, my mind used to go to, oh shit. Well, if I was God, why would I even be feeling this then? I used to get pissed off at myself. If I'm God enough, I shouldn't even be feeling this shit. I should transcend the suffering. Lauren. Lauren. I should transcend the suffering. I shouldn't feel shit. I should not feel any pain, any doubt, any frustration, any fear, any kind of humanity. I should simply glide through life like the boss ass motherfucker I am and feel nothing. But guess what? You're here to enjoy the curriculum of life. You're here to go through the curriculum of life. If you weren't here to go through the curriculum of life, guess what? You wouldn't be here. God don't make mistakes, and here you are. So you're here to go through the curriculum, so you might as well go through it. But we start trying to check out the experience. Okay? So for the purpose of this, it's this realization that yes, you are the character, and yes, you are source as well. And that is simply for the purpose of you understanding, recognizing that just because it feels real, doesn't mean you're attached to tell that story. Just because it feels like this is your truth, doesn't mean it has to be. But guess what? You can still honor the divinity and the absolute perfection of that experience. Ain't that good? Ain't Pastor Alex cooking today? Ain't that good? Right? We don't have to deny any part of this. We don't have to deny any part of this. We can experience it all. We can savor it all. I'm here for everything. I'm here for the fucking joy, for the fucking pain. I know pain. I know pain. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for the love, for the joy, for the fucking frustration. We're just frustrated with YouTube a second ago. I'm here for all of it. I'm here to savor, to learn from the lows and savor the fucking highs. I'm here to see the chaos and understand that I am the sword that cuts through chaos. I am the sword that cuts through chaos. I am the God that collapses chaos into order. I am the walking word and will of God. I'm not here to duck away or shy away from anything. If I'm God and I am everything, then what is there to run from? What is there to hide from? I embrace it all. All roads lead back to me anyway, because it all is me. All right, let me not go on that rant too far, because I was about to step out into something. So here we go. Why is it? This recognition is empowering because stories require an author. The only reason a story exists is because someone is telling it. And so the moment you become aware that you're telling a story of lack, of rejection, of failure, or unworthiness, you step back into authorship. Now, what if you're aware that you're telling a story of beauty and love and prosperity and hope, and deliciousness? Keep telling that goddamn story. You better keep telling that motherfucking story. So this is the beauty of it. It's all a story. Why not tell a beautiful one? You're only limited by your creativity in your storytelling. You're only limited by your creativity and storytelling. Resist nothing and tell a beautiful story anyway. Okay? So now you're the one holding the pen. Awareness doesn't force you to immediately write a new story, but it reminds you that you can. Right? It gives you permission to stop treating every interpretation as an absolute truth and start consciously choosing what is true about you. That's it. That's why we use the word story. Okay? It's not a dismissal of your experience, Kate. Your experience is beautiful and divine and perfect. Leslie, Allie, trying to float off into the clouds. Your experience is beautiful, perfect, and divine, right? It's not a dismissal of the experience. It's simply an invitation back to your power. That's it. It's a reminder, no matter what thoughts or feelings are present, the final authority over the meaning of your life always belongs to who? No matter what thoughts, what if it feels real? What if it just feels like the circumstance is real? Story. The only truth about it is that it feels real. But that's not the actual truth. The truth is whatever you say about it. Y'all hear your big brother today? Hey, look, the truth will set you free, y'all. When you recognize how simple this is, how much power you have, you just can't go back. You can't go back, right? So the story is not the truth. You got another diagram for you on YouTube. So how interpretation creates suffering. And I think this is where we kind of cut off yesterday. So let's walk through this. Number one, you have an event. You text your SP, it's sunny outside. Hey, baby, I'm finna be by the pool. I'm wearing the bikini you like. No response. The only thing that happened is no response. So now all of a sudden, a story happens. They hate me. Is it the bikini? No, it's me. They hate me, right? So all of a sudden you start spinning stories. You become Dr. Seuss with the stories, right? All of a sudden the emotion comes to match it. Anxiety, worry, unease, doubt. Okay, now all of a sudden you take on an identity from it. I'm just not good. I'm unwanted. This is always happening to me. All of this came from one moment. I want you to see this. Okay, now this is why we'll say, look, if you are not consciously choosing who you are, somebody else is going to choose for you. Because most people go through their life and these situations just happen. They show up, they show up, they show up. And instead of us saying, no, this is who I am no matter what, instead of us grounding ourselves in our truth, what do? We consume, we become consumers of the external world. Whatever you tell me, that's what I am. Yes, I'm that. Yes, I'm that. Yes, I'm that. Oh, I feel bad. Oh, I must not be good. I feel unworthy. I must be unworthy. I feel like doubt. Oh, it must not be happening. So I am awareness is offering you it's offering you just a more beautiful position to say, hey, whoa, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to hold on to anything anymore. You're already everything. Now you get to choose what stories you actually want to identify with. Very beautiful. Okay, very, very, very beautiful. So now, the reason that circumstances feel so powerful is because most people never experience the circumstance by itself. They experience the story they tell about the circumstance. So it doesn't matter if that bill shows up, right? The only thing that happens, if you go check your mail right now and you have a bill, the only truth about that is that there's a bill, right? There's a bill. Okay. There's a bill. Now, let's think about that. Because that bill can make one person say, damn, I ain't got shit in my bank account. Damn, this shit came too early. Damn, I'm not going to have the money by the due date. Damn, nothing ever works out. Damn, man. Like, nothing ever. Well, how come I can never get ahead financially? I'm always broke. The only thing that is true about that moment is what they saw on that piece of paper, which was a dollar amount, $67. As if God can't provide that. Right? So the only thing that you saw on that piece of paper was that money. That was it. But now we have turned it into an indictment on ourselves. Right? So most people never experience the circumstance by itself. They experience the story they tell about the circumstance. A text goes unanswered. That's the event. But almost immediately the mind rushes in to explain what it means. They must be losing interest. I must have said some shit. They don't care about me. I'm being rejected. Now within a moment, seconds, right? A neutral event becomes a identity, a painful identity, and we carry that. The moment has passed. It's gone. But now I carry that identity and I begin to look at life, look through the world, look at the world through the lens of that. Right? It's terrible. So the anxiety is not coming from the actual unanswered text. It's coming from the meaning you've attached to it. One text wasn't answered. That's all reality actually gave you. One text wasn't answered. That's all reality ever gave you, right? Everything else was interpretation. Everything else was interpretation. This is why your awareness is so powerful. Awareness allows you to step back and notice the story without becoming the story. You can simply observe. Interesting. Right? Okay, cool. I thought they don't care about me. I'm being rejected. I'm unworthy. I can never get ahead on bills. The money never shows up. Well, if I'm aware of that thought, that means there's something deeper that is aware of it, right? I know that I'm aware because I'm aware of things. If I'm aware of something, that means something deeper, a deeper truth has to be aware of that thing, which means whatever I'm aware of is not the deepest part of me. Okay? So now we can simply observe. When we realize that, what is aware of this experience? Okay, cool. Interesting. My mind is telling a story that I'm unwanted. Let's go a little bit further. The story may feel convincing, guys. I'm not diminishing your experiences, and you shouldn't either. The story can feel convincing. The story can feel emotional. It can feel very emotional to sit there and be like, damn, this money. It can feel very emotional to sit there and say, damn, they don't never fucking text. God damn. What's going on? It can feel very convincing. It can be very emotional. It could even feel true. Hear me. It can even feel true. But awareness reminds you, feelings are not authority. Thoughts are not authority. Stories are not authority. They are experiences appearing within you. When you become aware of the story, you can reclaim your freedom to choose. This is the point of saying, who is aware of that thought? Who are you being? That's a story. All of these things are simply inviting you to the same realization that right now, in this moment, you can simply become aware that you have thoughts and emotions and circumstances rising up, and all of them are stories, and you still get to choose what story you're going to accept as truth. All of them are stories. All of them. Even the one that you accept as true is a story, but then you get to accept it as truth. This is the only difference. So what awareness is saying is that everything that you feel, you don't have to accept it as true. Just because it feels real doesn't mean you have to accept it as true. It doesn't. Okay? Just because it feels emotional or heavy or what, it doesn't mean you have to accept it as true. Beautiful. So when you become aware of the story, you reclaim your freedom to choose. No matter what your mind is saying, no matter how strong the feeling is, you still get to decide who you are. You can be aware of the story of rejection while still choosing to identify as loved. You can be aware of the story of lack while still choosing to know your truth is abundance. You can be aware of the story of failure while still choosing what? Inevitable, guaranteed success. This is one of the greatest gifts of awareness. You're not trapped by your interpretations. You're not required to become every story your mind invents. The moment you notice it, it has no power unless you want to accept it as true. Nothing is more powerful than the God that is aware of it. Well, what if it feels powerful? At least some stories feel heavy. That's still a story. It's still a story. It's still a story that is simply hardened by familiarity. But just because it feels hardened by familiarity does not make it true. It does not make it true. It does not make it true. All right? Somebody put a 1 in the chat of YouTube. Please, for God's sake, help your brother out. Damn. All right? So you're not trapped by your interpretations. You're not required to become every story your mind invents. You can listen to the story. You can understand the story. You can feel the story without handing over your identity to it. So the question is not, what story is my mind telling? That's fine. You can notice it, but that's not even the deepest story. The question is, do I want to build my identity on that story? So the moment that we notice story, of course, it's all a story. Now, do you actually want to build your identity on that story? That's the question right there. So this is what story is pointing towards. Story, who are you being? Story, but who are you being? Who's saying that? It's all just pointing you back to authority, to your power. It's not invalidating your experience. Your experience is your experience and it feels real. Your experience is your experience and it feels real. but it's still a story. Here y'all go. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Perfect, perfect, perfect. When you realize that you have a choice to choose, which you always do, this is your power. The recognition, this is all I am awareness is pointing to. You have the power to choose. You have the power to choose. Okay? When you realize you have a choice, circumstances lose their power. Now, you don't have to live as somebody who reacts to reality. You don't have to constantly be in defense of reality. Now you can simply live as someone who consciously decides what is true about themselves. Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? So the next part, right? The law of being. So the simplest explanation of this law, the law of being, right? People don't experience life. People don't experience life. People experience who they believe themselves to be. Let me say that one more time. You're not experiencing life. Like life's not happening to you. What you're experiencing is who you believe yourself to be. Do you hear? That's powerful. That's a fucking powerful ass statement. It's a powerful reframe if you take that serious. So what does that actually mean? People experience who they believe themselves to be. It means you experience whatever story you assume is true about yourself. Example. These are going to be very practical examples. So person A gets rejected. And what do they say? Nobody wants me. Man, nobody wants me. Huh. Person B gets quote unquote rejected. The wrong fit. If she knew better, she'd do better. But I guess she don't. Right? Same event, different identity, different experience. Now, what's going to happen after that? They're going to continue to walk through life with completely different perspectives and a completely different lens through which reality is filtered through. That's just on a practical perspective. That's not even the metaphor. That's just the practical perspective, okay? So the law of being, it becomes much simpler when you realize people don't experience life directly. You're never just experiencing everything directly. You're always experiencing a filter of everything, right? You can go on a walk right now with somebody. And let's say that person is hungry as hell. You go for a walk with them and you ask them, hey, what did you notice? And they tell you, oh shit, I saw that taco shop. That shit looked good as fuck. This barbecue place, that smelled great. What about the person who just went through a breakup? Hey, what did you experience? Man, it was just a cloudy day, bro. It's hot as hell. I just want to get back home. What about the person who's simply looking to be present and enjoy life? They see nature, they see the beautiful people passing. You could literally go for a walk with 10 different people and they could each give you 10 different experiences of the same trail at the same time. How? Because we're never directly experiencing reality. And this is just being practical. You're never directly experiencing reality. Let's go a little bit further. So we experience life through the lens of whatever story we've accepted as true about ourselves. This is why two people can go through the exact same event and walk away with completely different experiences. One person gets rejected and concludes, nobody wants me. Another gets quote unquote rejected and concludes this wasn't the right fit. Same event, same circumstance, same reality, different story, different identity, different experience. The event itself didn't determine their suffering. Events don't determine suffering. The meaning that you assign to the event did. Let's go a little bit further. Now, do you notice that I keep using the word story? And we talked about this a couple of times before, but let's talk about it a little bit more, right? In a very real sense, everything is a story. In a very real sense, everything is a story. I am successful is a story. I am a failure is a story. I don't need to embody an identity because everything just works out for me and all my desires are guaranteed is a story. I get to choose my identity and I must choose an identity for that to unfold. Story. People love me. Story. Nobody chooses me. Story. They're all stories. Everything is a story. It's all a story. Okay? The mind is constantly creating narratives to explain reality and define who you are. The question is not if you're telling a story. So even when I'm calling story, right? It's simply meaning you don't have to live by that. You ain't got to live that life. You ain't got to live by that rule, right? So the question is not whether you're telling a story, it's what story have you decided to call true? What story are you deciding to call true? Okay? Why did it just get dark? What story are you deciding to call true? All right? Most people unconsciously inherit stories from where? People inherit stories from past experiences, from parents, from culture, from relationships, from circumstances. And then what happens when we inherit these things? We spend years believing that these stories are objective facts. That is the sad part. That's the tragedy. We spend years thinking that these stories are objective facts. These happen on a micro, like in an individual level, and they also happen on a world level. Can y'all think of certain things that we've just all collectively agreed on as being true? One of the biggest things is money. Don't we all have to buy into the concept of money? We all have to buy into it. We buy into going to work. We buy into getting that check. We buy into paying taxes. We buy into paying bills. We buy into all that shit. We could collectively check out right now and start trading and bartering with each other. But we've made a social contract with money. Money don't work if we don't work for it. We ain't got to do it, but it's a social contract. What else? The concepts of success are social constructs. You ever heard of something called the American dream? Social construct. The concept of medicine, Western medicine, these are constructs. These are social contracts. The concept of a grocery store, my God, we walk into the store and buy things that we could grow for free. These are social constructs. How much of our lives are built by it? One of the things that is beautiful, right? I did a short on this one. But there was a time, if anybody's a runner, right? One of the things that's very, very difficult to achieve is a sub 4 minute mile, right? At one point in time, it was thought to be, scientists actually had concluded at one point in time that running a sub 4 minute mile was physically impossible. Impossible. If you did it, it's impossible. You're going to pass out. You're going to die. He ain't going to make it, my brother in Christ. Okay? So now what happened? A gentleman named Roger Bannister came along and broke the record. That's not even the amazing part, that he ran it under 4 minutes. After he ran it under 4 minutes, what happened? A whole bunch of other happy-go-lucky people started breaking that record. It was a mental barrier. So sometimes we have somebody that comes along and realizes this physical barrier is actually just mental. This physical barrier is actually just mental. Okay, let's think of the Wright brothers, airplane. People looked in the sky, that's fucking impossible. But they saw a possibility. They completely broke through that social construct. All right, so now what happens is you can get online, Expedia.com right now and get a flight and go to Punta Cana. Right now, you can travel in a plane. You don't know nothing about how that plane works. You just get in it. We've agreed upon this now. We've evolved as a society. One person, you know what they would have probably called the Wright brothers? While they were thinking of how to fly, they would have called them fucking mystics. But eventually, mysticism turns into science, right? Once it's proven, mysticism turns into science. The observer effect was mysticism until science got a hold of it. Flying an airplane is mysticism until science gets a hold of it. Isn't that interesting? How much of the boundaries and barriers in our life are simply in between the ears? And how many of them are true? I'm not saying that all boundaries are meant to just be broken, but what I am saying is, how can we begin to question some of the things that are just passed down to us? How can we start to question these things? All right? So now, awareness reveals that you are not trapped inside the stories that you've been telling. You get to choose. You get to decide what is true about you at every moment. Okay, but what if this feels true, Alex? My brother, what if this feels true? I've been in this loop and it looks like it's just, there must be something that I have to figure out. There must be something in my subconscious. There must be something that's keeping me from getting that story. Oh shit. Me clinging on to the story that there must be something else to fix is me accepting that as truth. I could just as easily decide or realize that, hold up, who is aware of me telling this story? It's me. So that means I could choose another story. Oh, I'm not in a loop. It might feel like I'm in a loop. It might look like it, but the truth is I'm not, and everything is working out perfectly. Boom. I broke the loop simply by recognizing myself. Know thyself. Know the story that you are telling. Know thyself, not know thy SB, not know Alex, not know some coach or some book out there. Know thyself. When you begin to know the stories that you're telling, you are absolutely liberated. The moment you notice a story, you are liberated. You are free. And it's absolutely delicious. It is eyes rolling to the back of your head delicious. Okay? So, whatever story you consistently accept as true becomes what? The identity through which you experience your life. That is the law of being. That's it. That's it. It's not becoming something else, right? You're not the doubt trying to fight your way out of the doubt. You're not the suffering or the unworthy person trying to become worthy. You're simply getting to tell the story of what you accept as true because you're already all those things. Whatever you say is true is true. You're already love and prosper. You're already those things. You don't have to become anything else. You simply need to tell the correct story. That's it. So here's another practical example, all right? So let's say that your identity is what? Let's say that you have an identity of I never have enough money. Now, what happens when you put on that identity? You might as well think of putting on this identity as putting on some glasses. As soon as you put on that identity, you just put on the glasses, okay? The lack glasses, okay? So now, life is gonna constantly be filtered through scarcity. So you're gonna notice what? You're gonna notice bills, you're gonna notice expenses, you're gonna notice problems. The moment when you have the mindset of I never have enough money, when that's your identity, you're gonna sit here and find a problem. Man, I ain't never got enough, and I just know something's gonna happen in the car, bro. And fuck, we gotta worry about this and that, and then, you know what I'm saying? They might even ask me for money. You're creating problems just to suffer, just to uphold an identity that you don't want. How many people do that? They hold on to the identity of I'm unwanted, and then they sit there and they just turn into He-Man woman haters. Well, I don't know what the same thing for women would be. She-woman man haters. All right? They just sit around all day and talk about things that justify their identity. Ain't nothing happened to you. Nothing happened to you personally. But now every single story of a woman doing something you don't like, of a man doing something, you don't even need to know the full story. You could care less. You just want to sniff something that looks wrong. And it just fuels your identity even more. These men ain't shit. These hoes ain't shit. Can't wait to scream it from the mountaintop. You look for every opportunity to do so. It's miserable. So the moment you put on that identity, you begin to filter your reality through it. Now imagine Imagine the identity of I always figure it out. This is the Sarah identity. This is the Sarah identity right here. I always figure it out. It always works out. Imagine putting on that. Now all of a sudden, same bank account. Different identity. Different experience. Different behavior. Different outcomes. Now, you're probably more present. Things show up. You can surrender more. You can allow it to be more. You can choose an identity if you want. You can let go and know everything's working out if you want. It don't matter. It all works out. It all works out. You're in a completely different story. Reality looks the same. Now you're in a different story. So now that experience is filtered through differently and you experience life differently. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so part 6. Here we go. The most important thing new people need to understand. The most important thing that new people need to understand. Somebody guess what it is. What y'all think I'm about to talk about? What y'all think I'm about to talk about? Who knows me? Who wants a prize? Who wants a prize? I'll give you about 10 seconds to guess. Separation, presence, self-love. Nah. You decide. Yeah. I am the pride. Awareness. I am detachment. Authorship. Let's I ain't gonna make y'all guess too much. Let's go forward, all right? Here is the most important thing. Because we're gonna go through all of these things and somebody's still gonna say what? But how do I do that? But how do I become God? But how do I do that? But how do I actually get worthy? How do I drop the old story? How do I do these things? All right? This is such an important lesson, okay? You don't become awareness. Okay? You don't become God. On this journey, you're not becoming anything. You're not becoming worthy. You're not becoming love. You're not becoming God. You're not becoming awareness. You're not becoming source. You're not becoming reality. You're not becoming whole and complete, and you're not becoming any of those things. You already are all of these things. The entire spiritual journey is less about becoming and more about noticing what you've been the entire time. Because when you start to believe that you have to become it, you are constantly working, and that working, you are affirming that you're not it. Oh, I just know that there's something wrong. I need to reprogram. AKA, I ain't it. Oh, I know I'm God, but how do I do? AKA, I ain't it. AKA, I ain't it. All right? Before every thought, before every emotion, before every identity, before every success, before every failure, there is awareness. That's why the spiritual journey is so paradoxical. Most people think they're trying to become whole, or become worthy, or become abundant, or become loved, or become God. But awareness, this I am awareness practice, what does it reveal? The one trying to become those things is already appearing within the very awareness it seeks. Okay? You cannot become awareness any more than a wave can become water. You cannot become awareness any more than a wave can become water. You already are it. The journey isn't about becoming something new. It's about noticing what has been true the entire fucking time. This is where things get strange. They get beautifully and divinely strange. Think about this. If awareness is everything, then how could you ever truly be lacking? If awareness of God is everything, and that's what you are, how could you ever truly be lacking? How could the source of all experience actually be incomplete? It doesn't make logical sense. And yet, awareness has the freedom to experience itself as lack. It can experience itself as abundance. It can experience itself as confidence or insecurity or fear or love or success or failure and everything in between. You have a blank check. That I am is a blank check. I am that I am. It's saying I am whatever you say I am. It's a blank check. The paradox is that you're already everything, but you still get to choose what identity you want to live in. You're already everything, but you still get to choose. Okay? You can choose the experience of limitation without actually being limited. You can choose the experience of unworthiness without ever truly becoming unworthy. Because you're the actor, you're the awareness mind. It's untouched by whatever identity you choose. You get to put on that mask and play that role and accept that as truth, but the truth of you it's untouched by it. It's still whole, right? So the question isn't how do I become whole? It's if I am already everything, what am I choosing to tell a story that I am right now? That's it. Awareness doesn't need to earn completeness. It simply gets to decide which aspect of itself it wishes to experience and call I am. Beautiful. Okay? So the next part, the reference test or the rookie test. All right? So now, whenever you are upset, whenever you're doubtful, whatever the case may be, right? You don't feel good. I want you to ask yourself, what am I aware of right now? What am I aware of right now? Thought, emotion, fear, circumstance. Cool. Now I want you to ask yourself, am I the thing I'm aware of, or am I the one aware of it? All right. So this is right here. This is going to be kind of the test. This is the test that we're going to go through. Okay. This single question can dissolve half the suffering in the Discord, in these live streams. Okay. Am I the thing I'm aware of, or am I the one aware of it? So what I have been calling this is the reference test. We talked about this earlier. I talked about thoughts, emotions, circumstances, and I call them the what? The unholy trinity. Okay? Thoughts, emotions, circumstances, the unholy trinity. Okay? Now, the reference test is one of the simplest and most practical tools that you will ever learn because it interrupts unconscious identification in real time. Think about this. Whenever you are upset, triggered, anxious, discouraged, or spiraling, I want you to simply stop and ask yourself, what am I referencing as truth right now? Are you referencing a circumstance, a text message, a bank account? Are you referencing a thought? Or a feeling, fear, right? Most suffering comes from using temporary experiences as evidence for who we are. So if you are using the unholy trinity to decide who you are, well, I'm spiraling because I had this thought, or because this circumstance, or this feeling. Okay, well, of course, if you are referencing these temporary things, because this is the nature, I want you to think of the nature of thoughts, emotions, and circumstances. Have you ever had an emotion that has showed up in your life and has stayed forever? No. Have you ever had a moment that has showed up in your life and frozen and stayed forever? No. Have you ever had a thought that showed up in your mind and just parroted itself forever? No. So what is this saying? The nature of these things is to change. The nature of your emotion is it changes, right? You're happy as hell when you wake up. You know what I'm saying? You and your woman, you have a little playtime last night, so you woke up in a good mood. Now, all of a sudden, you get cut off in traffic. So your mood goes to shit. Your emotions all of a sudden fluctuate. Then you hear the song that you like, and your emotion goes up. Then all of a sudden, you think of something that you don't want to do, and your emotions go down. Your emotions fluctuate all the time. They're just an experience. You're here to have a human experience. What are the human experiences? Change. So I want you, if you are source, you are God, right? That means that you are this constant, unchanging awareness. You're all that there is. The only way that you can have a human experience is to experience change. So part of this is that you have certain things that show up to aid in that experience. Emotions, thoughts, and circumstances are simply the human experience, which is why they change. What would happen if you tried to build a solid identity on top of an emotion? What would happen if you tried to be happy right now and hold that state of happiness forever? What about when a relative passes? Does that mean you're not in the state anymore? What about when you get pissed off, right? So that's already a trap. Trying to build your identity on top of something that's always changing, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult. There's a better way. There's a better way. It's to realize that these things, the emotions, the thoughts, the circumstances, they're just what? Experiences. They're experiences. I do not want to go build a house on quicksand. I don't want to do that. Because the first sign of trouble, the house is going to blow over. What I want to do is I want to build on a solid foundation. So what is the unchanging truth of who I am? It's that you're just pure awareness, pure consciousness, pure source, pure divinity, pure God. So now if that's the truth about me, that means I can simply settle in that truth. All right, cool. Well, no matter what any of these moving pieces are, the emotions, thoughts, circumstances, there is an ever-present, unchanging awareness. Am I aware? Well, then I get to choose, knowing that awareness is always there. That source is always there. Is my heart beating right now? That means that this being, this presence, this life, this God cares enough about me to beat my heart. This is solid. It has not missed a moment of my life. It has not missed a single moment. This is beautiful. So we build our foundation on this, okay? Not the unholy trinity. So let's go a little bit further. So now, when you start referencing a circumstance to determine your worth, a thought to determine your future, or an emotion to determine your identity, you've handed your power away. So the reference test simply helps you catch yourself in the act. Once you have identified what you're referencing, I want you to ask the second question. All right, so okay, what am I referencing right now? I'm spiraling. I'm referencing a thought. Okay. Am I the thing I'm aware of, or am I the one aware of it? What that question does is it instantly shifts you back into awareness or into authorship. So now the anxiety becomes something you're aware of instead of something that you have to identify with. Does that mean the anxiety goes away? No. But now I don't have to take it as meaning something negative about me. It's just anxiety. And I'm not saying it like that to be condescending or to, diminish the human experience. What I'm saying is the anxiety can feel heavy without me making it an indictment on who I am. Okay? So now the thought just becomes a passing event, and it's not a permanent truth. So this is why the reference test, it can dissolve suffering quickly. Quickly, right? When you stop referencing the movie and remember you're the screen, you can regain the freedom to consciously choose who you are instead of allowing circumstances to choose for you, right? So you're always either creating consciously, conscious creation, or unconsciously. So creating consciously is knowing that I'm awareness and choosing my identity, choosing who I am. All right? Unconsciously would be doing what? Allowing my thoughts, emotions, circumstances to show me who I am, because those things, the nature of those things is constant fluctuation. Beautiful. All right, so now even to reinforce this, if you're on YouTube, go on and screenshot that, right? So we got the reference test. This is just a diagram for it. So we have the left side, which you don't want to reference, is the unholy trinity, thoughts, emotions, circumstances. Because all of these things, they feed each other. They create the story of lack. All of a sudden, you don't get a text or that bill shows up. What happens? A thought tries to come in and say what it means. An emotion comes in to match that. I'm taking everything outside of me as truth. And it puts me into a state of lack, which puts me into suffering. Instead, I can simply reference awareness. I'm aware of the thought, aware of the emotion, aware of the circumstance, but I still had the freedom to choose with my divine ass. I still had the freedom to choose with my divine ass. Beautiful. So we've got closing, and then I've got 10 examples of I am awareness that we're going to walk through together. We're going to walk through them together. So closing. Most people spend their entire lives trying to rearrange the movie. Trying to give themselves new thoughts, new relationships, new jobs, new manifestations, new circumstances, and they never realize they're the screen. The screen doesn't need fixing. It doesn't need healing. You don't need fixing or healing. You don't need more evidence. You're not even damaged by the movie. It doesn't matter how scary the movie is. The screen, the TV screen does not crack because the scary movie came on the TV. It just is. It just is, right? You're not the thought or the fear or the circumstance. You are the awareness in which all of those things come and go. Beautiful. So now we got some examples. Example number 1. Let's walk through these together. All right? Now, example number 1 is getting left on red. You just got left on red by your favorite. By, the one who does all them things that you like. I know, she just left you on red. Now, let's see here. The rookie response would be this. Let's say that you have a thought that shows up that says, they don't want me, I'm being ignored, I look stupid. If we step back into awareness, what will we actually be aware of? Well, we will be aware that a text hasn't been answered yet. That's reality. And then I'd be aware of anxiety within me. Okay, I'm feeling anxiety. Then I'd be aware that a story's forming. I'm being ignored, I look stupid. It's a story. I don't know if I'm being ignored. I don't know if I'm looking stupid. I'm just judging. But then I can conclude it with, I am not that story. So now, if you were stepping into your godliness, now what would you say about the situation? Now, what would y'all say about the situation after that happened? Somebody give me a good example. How would you change this story? Right? You started with, they don't want me, I'm being ignored, to, you know what? This is just a story. It was just forming. Trust this plan, treat the behavior as data, and took my advice. I love that for you. Guys, y'all, that's the most creative story that you can get, just this plan. Chosen and loved, that's it. Y'all don't want to say something better? I am whole and complete and divine, and all my desires are still perfect for me right now, no matter what I'm going through. All right, I'll let y'all pass with the weak answers today. That's cool. Number two. I'll just give y'all my answers. Number 2. All right. So number two. You're scared because you worship. All right, so let me challenge you. Do you want him to be scared, or do you want him to reach out? He's scared, but he'll get over the shit. All right. Number 2 is looking at your bank account. The rookie reaction is, damn, I'm broke. Damn, I'm behind. I'll never fucking catch up. That's the rookie approach, right? So now what would awareness say? What would you notice about this? You look at your bank account, right? I'm broke, I'm behind, I'll never catch up. All right, now what are you aware of in this situation? You can be aware of a number on the screen. Looking at your bank account, it's just a number on the screen. You can be aware of fear in the body. You can be aware of the thoughts about survival. And now what story could you tell about this? You get to choose this. What story would y'all tell about your prosperity, about your money? I am still prosperity. This doesn't define me. I am the highest value. It's always working in your favor. I see it. I'm still. Bank of America tripping. Bank of America always tripping. We balling. You can be aware you have a phone to look at your bank account abundance. This is one moment. Look at you. Look at you. Life provides for me no matter what. Okay. My name is prosperity. Okay. 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 Wonderful. I love it. I love it. Right? I'm not the number. I'm not the panic, but I'm the awareness in which this is appearing. And from here, I choose nothing but provision. Right? I am provision. I am provided for. I am loved. I am adored. I'm respected. Abundance flows to me in every single way. All right? Now, here's another one. This is y'all will love this one. Your favorite acronym. Seeing your SP post online. What is the rookie reaction? The initial reaction is what? They're moving on. They forgot me. They just posted, you know what I'm saying? She just posted the infamous pic. Her at dinner, low lights. Across from her is a muscular man with arm tattoos and a Rolex. And you can see his locks flowing in the corner of the screen. Yeah, him. Yes, him. With the chocolate cake. With a mountain of chocolate cake in between them. And he got a big ass steak, so you know he got money. With the American Express laid out on the table. Right? So the rookie mistake is what? They're moving on. They forgot me. I lost. What story could you actually tell in this situation? Yeah, I'm challenging y'all's creativity now. What story would y'all actually tell in this situation? Let's see how y'all step into the Delulu land. Remember, recognize that this doesn't mean anything because I am with them no matter what. Who wouldn't care? This person is making them realize how much they love me. Okay. I didn't see Kate. That's his sister. It's dragged. They would rather be on a date with me. I'm better. My SP posted a story of him in the beach. I was happy he went out for a swim. I was still fed up. I'm engraved in his mind like the Egyptians engraved on granite. Hell yeah, y'all better preach. Y'all better preach. I'm the motherfucking guy. Of course they want to be with me. Preach. No matter what they do or don't do, I am loved, so therefore they love me. He's just trying to make me jealous. She misses me and is trying to make me jealous with her boy. Look, okay, there we go. Y'all are stepping into authorship. I like it, I like it, I like it, right? But yeah, you can reframe it however way. You know what the beautiful thing about this is? Is hopefully y'all read some of the other things and it sparks your creativity. The beautiful thing about this is you get to be God however you want to be God. Think about that. You get to be God however you want to be God. You get to tell the most beautiful, delicious story that you want to tell. Right? You don't have to worship appearances. I don't worship appearances. I have no false idols. I only have faith in the God within me. That's it. I don't trust what I see. I trust what I know more than anything. What I see is simply what I see. It's an experience in this moment. My truth is not moved. It does not change. It does not waver. My truth is unconditional, right? So I don't worship appearances. I do not let one post, one moment, one thing that I see become my God. I return to who I am, right? I am everything. You get to be as creative, as divine. You get to stand on business as much as you want. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay? So now, let's go to the next one. Getting criticized at work. You got criticized at work, right? You were giving your presentation. They said, well, this shit sucks. Did you even do anything? Did you even try? But you were up all night working on it, right? So the rookie reaction is, man, do they really mean that? What's going on? Why are they treating me like this? Why are they treating me like this? How do you reframe this situation? How do you reframe this situation with your boss? I'm always chosen at this job. Everyone loves me here. Love it. Love it. Right? It's about authorship, right? You're stepping back. You're realizing I'm just telling a story. I'm just aware of this story. It's perfect. I love that one. They expect greatness from me. They expect greatness from me. Understood. I got this. Their insecurities are what they're experiencing. Now, do you see this? Now, is there a right or a wrong way to do this? Okay, we got to touch on this point. I want you to look at how different these answers are, right? They expect greatness from me. It's different, right? Then their insecurities are what they're experiencing. Do you hear the difference, right? Which one is right and which one is wrong? Which one is right and which one is wrong? Trick question, right? Neither one is wrong. They're both right. So sometimes we can get in this space and try to make up these strict rules of, oh, you have to talk about it like this, or it has to be like this. No, it has to be however you get to be God how you want to be God. You get to be God the way you want to be God. You get to stand on your perspective. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. So I got one more for y'all. Maybe two. All right. So let's say that you're receiving a compliment. Okay. You receive a compliment. You've been feeling a little insecure lately. Ladies, you ain't been in the gym like that. Your booty's looking a little flatter these days, and it's summer. Right. So you're receiving a compliment. And now all of a sudden your mind shows up and says, do they really mean that? Are they being nice? I'm finna astral project and knock Kate's phone out of her hand if she don't keep listening. If she don't stop getting distracted. I'm finna knock Kate's phone out of her hand if she keep getting distracted. Alright? So you receive a compliment, you've been feeling insecure, and now the mind says, man, do they even mean this? Are they just being nice? What do you do? Right? So you're aware of this praise. You're aware of this praise now. You're aware of the discomfort that you're feeling from receiving it. Right? You're aware of this old identity trying to reject love. Does it matter? Absolutely not. Sure don't. It doesn't matter at all. I don't need to believe it. I already know it. Here's the thing. The reason why I like this one is because it also introduces like boundaries, right? What would be the difference between somebody that you don't like giving you this compliment and somebody you do? Do you approach them differently? And is one way right and one way wrong? There's one way right and one way wrong. Ooh-wee. Some I don't like would be a dry thank you, right? And that's perfect and that's fine. And we can still know who we are. I can still know who I am and stand up for myself, right? I can still know who I am and stand up for myself. All right, my beautiful people, I'm finna jump off of here. I thought this was a good lecture. Of course, I'm gonna have to redo the YouTube to combine them together. But I'm glad at least this second pass worked. So I'll combine them together and yeah, I'll let y'all later.